essentially just an opening information slide for each of you to see. Singular Humanitarian Experience is an organization where our aim is to have you experience what it's like to serve with 40 to 50 amazing LDS YSA or MSAs. A side note to that is we've actually had a couple of expeditioners who are not LDS, and we truly do try to just provide others with this opportunity to go into some extraordinary countries where you can explore, meet people that you would have never met before, have some of the most organic cultural experiences on week-long expeditions, and then also gain a life-changing perspective with visitors. So this is really just one of those slides. If you need to know our website, singularhumanitarian.org has information. And then also we are on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. If you are curious to see what, you know, some of the pictures from the past look like on YouTube, we have several videos if you're curious what living situations and others might look like as well. So feel free to go out there and look around, get snoopy. The next slide is not loading. Sorry, y'all. Okay, this is actually one of my my favorite slides. Is, you know, it says do some, or, you know, something more. So this is really about traveling abroad, serving with people that have similar skills as you, as well as meeting new people. I once had a person tell me that one of their favorite things about going on a singular humanitarian expedition, this person was an emergency room doctor, and he said, you know, when I meet new friends or I go to church or go on dates, whatever it might be, no one actually really gets the chance to see my passion of being a medical professional. And on this expedition, that he was not only able to help and serve people who really needed medical attention and serve that passion, but also his new friends and the people that he met, and then also for professional networking, they were able to see firsthand that this person could do something more, and that their passions and their ability to serve people in these areas was really a wonderful experience for them. This is a slide where if you kind of look clockwise, it shows some various views of our expeditions. It's a quote from Thomas S. Monson that speaks to when we can work together cooperatively to lift the level of the life for so many people, we can accomplish anything. When we do so, we eliminate the weakness of one person standing alone and substitute the strength of many serving together. While we may not be able to do everything, we can and must do something. What I really like about this slide is your eye gets drawn to the young boy who is standing alone, and if you let your eye move clockwise, you'll see other individuals and then this big group of people on a cattle truck. And I like to think of this as a symbol for what it's like when we go on these expeditions together. Is one person might feel like they're standing alone in the world, especially in an area of the world that might have poverty. But as we bring 40 to 50 expeditioners into these countries and into these villages, and we sit with the children and we ask their name and they ask ours, and we're exchanging languages and cultures, what ends up happening is each one of us feels that we're special and we matter. And the Spirit can attest that while we might not be able to do everything, we can be a shot of adrenaline to these individuals. One of my favorite experiences that I personally had was in Guatemala, where one year we had helped a village with laying the foundation for a medical clinic, and they had wanted it. You'll hear a little bit more about our Village Determined project. They had wanted this medical clinic, but didn't necessarily have the resources to do that. Through our expeditioners and our time and the funds that we used on the expedition, we spent a week tying rebar and creating a cement foundation. Well, the next year we thought we were going back into that village to also keep building that medical clinic. It had only been a year and we were returning. When we showed up, the villagers had actually finished the whole clinic themselves and had crepe paper and balloons and wanted us to be a part of the ribbon cutting ceremony. And that was just a testimony to me that just because we cared enough to come and provide supplies, this village was able to then solve the problem that they needed there. And it went from a single situation to this massive group of people that were able to make an impact. So our, just to highlight our mission statement is we are singles serving together around the world in sustainable humanitarian development, especially focusing on the areas of empowering people and affecting change. And it's exciting. Alicia's going to talk to the next slide that talks about all the expeditions we have been able to go on, and that statement about sustainable humanitarian development really is the fact that we return to villages over and over again, and we're able to see that they are owning the sustainability of their improvements in their village, the lives of their families, and education, and all the other areas that we will speak to in a few more slides. So Alicia, I'm going to turn the time to you now.
Okay, thank you, Jenny. Thank you, each of you, for joining this call. This is very much just informational about CHOICE and Singular Humanitarian and our partnership. So I'd like to go a little bit into that now. This is Singular Humanitarian's first expedition to Mexico. We're very excited, especially over the holidays, right after Christmas, but to celebrate New Year's in this location with each other will be such an awesome opportunity. Singular Humanitarian has hosted 15 expeditions, and we've gone to several countries, even several countries more than once, so it's exciting to go to Mexico. We've had quite the response, and we welcome each of you that have been accepted or just interested in expeditions or have been waitlisted, have taken care of everything. We've kind of put this out there for everyone just to give you some general information. So as you are registering and communicating with Joanne, we'll show you what she looks like in a few slides. As that kind of goes forward, you will hear more from the expedition team. And Lauren Brady's also on the call tonight too, and she's going to be the coordinator for this expedition. So you'll be hearing from us in terms of next steps and how to prepare and things like that. So if you want to go to the next slide, Jenny, I'll talk just briefly about, well, I kind of already mentioned that, so we'll skip that one. The other expeditions that we have planned for next year, so for those of you that are just going to Mexico, that's great. And some of you that may not be going to Mexico but are also interested in future expeditions, we're really excited to go to Ecuador for the first time. CHOICE just opened that up for, I guess we just created that partnership so that we'll be able to go there next summer. That will be over the 4th of July week, and Nepal in November. So yeah, join us then as well. Excited about those trips. Both during the most beautiful times of the year that we could go there. So let's talk a little bit about CHOICE Humanitarian and our partnership with them. So far at this point, you may have heard from Joanne, and she is a CHOICE volunteer. And just like Singular Humanitarian, all of us are volunteers in our roles as well. And we really enjoy this partnership with them because of their model and the work that they do in these countries. So they have in-country directors that are staff that actually help determine the projects with the villagers. And they kind of come to us and say, this is what we'd like to do. And Singular Humanitarian is unique in that we bring working professionals over there and kind of tell them some of the skills that we have so that they can cater this expedition kind of to us, but we can also really cater to what they need. So CHOICE has been in existence for over 30 years. And there's the countries listed that they go to. It's Guatemala, Bolivia, Mexico, Kenya, Nepal, and Ecuador. And they're also going to be going to Peru too. And they are based out of West Jordan in Utah. And we've been working with them on almost exclusively on all of our expeditions because we do love their model and that the work that they do is sustainable long term. When we go in there, we work on these projects, and then we continue to go back and to see the development that's made. And as these villagers are kind of more independent, we're able to see their progress and then work with new villages. So That's just a little bit about CHOICE. The next slide will show you, I kind of missed that part too, but that they're also very focused on the cultural exchange. We love that, so much of what we do is going over there and having an experience ourselves. And like Jenny mentioned, kind of a shot of adrenaline for them and the projects that they're already involved in and working on before we get there and after we leave. And it's a really awesome experience for us to have, to be able to go there and not feel the pressure of just getting a project done, but the emphasis really is on the shared connection that we have with the people there, and that really does wonders. So it's a really amazing experience for each of us to have. And I know that several of you on the call have already had this experience once, and it's great to have it over and over again. So Joanne, right there, cute little Joanne, she's the one that you're hearing from in email communication about getting in some of your paperwork. So for those of you that still have yet to turn in your paperwork or kind of on the fence, we do encourage you to pay your deposit and to turn in the forms that she has listed. The CHOICE medical form, application, liability release, copy of your passport, your flight itinerary, and confirmation of travel insurance. The $300 deposit is already due, but everything else, just make sure that you get the rest of the registration fee and all of your paperwork into Joanne, and it's due November 13th. So kind of keep that date in the back of your mind, and yeah, we'll continue on from here. I think it's time for me to turn the time back over to Jenny.
Thanks, Elisa. I appreciate you highlighting this intercultural exchange, because that really is one of the main reasons why we do this and why these projects are sustainable. I like to tell the story of just some of the moments that we've had with our in-country experiences. There have been many times that we have shown up to a village, and whether it's the first time or many times after, by the end of the week, or the week of awesome, which you see up here, I know that personally there have been times that I've seen things from the village that they would never pay any other, you could never pay a tourist organization or a travel agency to see some of the things that I feel very blessed to see, all in the name of service. Some of those things have included, for example, in Kenya, one night the business women that we were teaching business workshops to, and just working on, what ideas and exchange could we have, knowing that they were smart as well, had taken us down to a riverbed and under the stars where there were elephants and other things around, taught us campfire songs. There have been many times in Guatemala where just seeing ancient Mayan rituals that are things that are sacred or religious. Some of them, religious might also mean shooting fireworks off their backs, but knowing that the person had to fast and abstain from some worldly things for 30 days, and it was all in the name of service as well. It just really means a lot that you'll know that you'll be able to get a truly organic experience from the villagers that we go in and serve. I also had the experience once where I was doing marketing. As the marketing director, I was kind of conducting some focus groups, and I asked a friend, what do you think of when you see all of our pictures and things? And the comment was made, I see a lot of people in the same t-shirts playing a lot of soccer with children, and I just don't think that's sustainable. And at first I thought, geez, that's so right. Like, we should be showing more projects. And over the course of the year, and I mentioned this by way of shaping your expectations of the week of awesome that you'll have. I guarantee you that the intercultural exchange of playing soccer, of sitting and talking and trying to learn languages, of going into whatever project workshops you might be conducting and asking the local villagers, how they would approach it and everything, will build relationships, and ultimately they will really value your service because you took the time to care about them. So this slide really speaks to what this week of awesome looks like. On December 26th, we do ask that you arrive in country, and we'll show you where that arrival should take place. And we ask that you arrive by 4 p.m. The reason for that is we will have a special dinner together to kick everything off, as well as an in-country orientation to shape your thoughts, your feelings, expectations, etc. Then on Sunday, we'll have LDS services and head to the village. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we will work on projects, workshops, seminars. We'll have nighttime cultural events. Sometimes it does involve a talent show. Other times it involves a day in the life experience. You might be able to go into the homes of some of the villagers and they'll tell you and show you what it's like to live as they live. And through that experience, you actually will have several things that will shape your understanding and your perspective. Plus, it's just really enjoyable, and when, to see the day in the life. And then on Saturday morning, January 2nd, I'm sure January 1st, this isn't on the week of Ashlam, but I'm sure that will involve some sort of New Year's Eve celebration, December 31st, January 1st. Then on the 2nd, we will leave the village to head back to the hotel in Querétaro. And on Sunday, January 3rd, those of you that would like to go home could also depart country. And then on Monday, there's always the chance to go home, tell your family, your friends, share pictures, and get back to life as you know it. As mentioned earlier on, we are on Facebook, and many of you have probably received an invitation to join the Singular Humanitarian official Facebook event page. This is, it's kind of tricky. Facebook has some limitations to it. We can either open a Facebook event up to the public, but then at the same time we have the difficulty of sometimes being able to say, these are exactly the people that you're going on this expedition with, or we all have to become friends on Facebook or have other ways and means of inviting people to a very private event. So the official Singular Humanitarian Facebook group is open to the public. We do ask, not by way of exclusion or anything, but we do ask that you personally don't invite anybody to that page. We will, once you are accepted on the expedition, we will add you or invite you to that event. And this way we can coordinate, messaging, or if there's anything that comes up, we can share that with you. If any of you want to coordinate pre or post sheet travel options, that is a place for you to be able to do that. I know with this expedition, there's a couple of additional Facebook events that are floating around, but please just be mindful of the Singular Humanitarian official Facebook one. And I know there are some pre or post. I think there's more post expedition travel that's taking place. I just want you to know that is not included in your cost of travel. Any of your pre or post expedition travel, anything that's not those December 26th to January 3rd time frame, that is additional cost to you and not part of your expedition fees, and we'll talk to that a little bit more. But just wanted to kind of touch base on that up front on this slide. But that's what you can expect. I also, one of the things that might also need to be highlighted is on this week, we do usually reserve the evening time as time that you as expeditioners can also get to know each other. You can bring games, there's other things, and there will be more orientation calls that will speak to that a little bit later. But just know that the week will be pretty full, pretty diverse, and it will be a really wonderful week for sure. All right, Alicia, back to you.
Okay, great. So earlier, kind of mentioned that the workshops are village determined. So I'd like to go into just a little bit more detail about what that typically includes for us during the week. And it will vary on the location that we go to and the needs that are there. But these three categories that are listed are education, health, and economy. So typically we work with the teachers in the area and do some trainings with them. And then we also usually bring medical professionals, and we can do clinics or trainings and things relating to that. And economy, in some of the countries we do small business workshops as well as other vocational different professions that we can utilize in that specific country. So we had an optician in Guatemala. We've had dentists come. We've also had an art instructor that did an art project, and these are just examples from the past few expeditions. So one other thing that we've also implemented is kind of working with the young adults or the youth and doing some trainings with them, and also a dream workshop where we ask them, and we also get the parents involved into kind of encouraging them to think about education and the future of possibility, to think about what they might like to be when they grow up. So that's also something that's kind of become a new tradition. It's something we found to be successful and somewhat of a, I want to call it a spiritual experience, but definitely inspirational for everyone involved. So we can also look into doing some different unique types of things on our expeditions as well. So speaking to Mexico a little bit, we're going to an area where, and we're going at a time of year where the medical and the education are kind of up in the air at this point. Education, because the teachers are also on break and they're not in the classroom teaching, so it's harder for us to observe and to be able to work with them. So there might be opportunities for us to still get them congregated, but we are not planning that at this time unless we receive word that we will. In addition to that, also kind of excluding medical on this particular expedition, that we won't have clinics, but there might be opportunities for some trainings as well. We know that we have a lot of medical professionals. And the focus that we will have while in Mexico will be on small business workshops, as well as the construction project, which is clean water projects in the homes of the villages there. So more information will come along, and we will host another conference call for everyone that kind of has more of those details, the nitty-gritty of this expedition, how to prepare. And we'll leave some time at the end of this for questions. It is kind of more of an overview, but just so you kind of have an idea of what our focus is as we're going into Mexico, can kind of help you prepare and get excited. You can go ahead to the next slide, and Jenny can talk about where your money goes.
Okay, thanks, Alicia. So the cost of the expedition is $1,750, and kind of to let you know how we came to that number. One of the things that we did when Singular Humanitarian was originally being organized is our executive committee went to discover other organizations that did kind of this nuts and bolts of going into a country and leading these humanitarian expeditions. And when they found CHOICE Humanitarian, they asked them, you know, if we were to bring 40 to 50 expeditioners, would you discount your costs for us? CHOICE usually brings about 15, 20 people on an expedition, and they also don't have the model of the workshop. They do more infrastructure projects and some other types of construction or things like that. Where Singular Humanitarian is different is we do bring your professional expertise into the country. We formulate these workshops that we can hold with the villagers, and then we also bring 40 to 50 expeditioners. So with that, a CHOICE Humanitarian expedition usually costs $2,500. As you can see, they are giving us a significantly discounted rate at $1,750 per expedition. That does mean that one of the things that we need sooner rather than later is the $300 deposit, and then also just asking you to respect Joanne when she's asking for the funds on a certain deadline. It's more than just getting money so we have commitment and, you know, making sure people are paying, etc. The truth is the reason we need that money at those certain dates is because then we are able to go to the in-country director. For Mexico, his name is Juan, and Juan will be able to purchase any of the project supplies there in country. They'll also be able to arrange the hotel accommodations more up front, arrange for your transportation, and ensure that we are not only just using the funds for you, but also to boost the economy and the needs of the village sooner rather than later for a very smooth expedition. And so that's why we ask that you know, when Joanne is reminding you about the deposits or reminding you about the full expedition fee, it's not just about, wanting money or anything like that. It is about how it's going to help the village and how it's going to help this expedition be extremely organized, smooth, and all the needs are met before we enter the country. So it's kind of hard to read. I understand that it's a little bit of an eye chart looking at the pie chart below, but I'll roll through what the project costs do include in that $1,750. And just so you know, the $300 deposit is included in the $1,750. But it does include land transportation, food, and lodging from the beginning of the expedition, from the time you arrive at the hotel and we do dinner and the orientation. All of that is land transportation, food, and lodging is all included in that in the expedition cost. It also includes any sort of the local staff expenses. One of the things you can see in this picture is not only all of the She expeditioners loading into the cattle truck, but the men in the hats that are down below are not villagers. They actually work for CHOICE and the in-country directors. And so your expedition fee, as they make, as they're arranging the cattle trucks, or there was one year that we had massive rainstorms, and so then the CHOICE in-country staff ran and got us all boots and supplies and things like that. It pays their wages. There's also training and vehicles. Post-project CHOICE follow-up with the village will happen based on your expedition fee. Also sustainable development projects that we use with Singular Humanitarian. And then also project costs, such as anything for building and construction projects, anything for the workshops, anything that can be purchased as the village determines as they need it there in country. Another thing that it includes is security and tips. When I was in Kenya on my first expedition, I was bright-eyed and in a new country and a place in Africa I'd never been to before. And referencing back to the riverbed night where we sung campfire songs in Swahili, we were walking back, and all of a sudden, our group, I noticed there were two men following us with very large machine guns. And immediately I went on high alert and, kind of freaked out a little bit, and turned to the expedition leader. His name was Reed, and I said, "Reed, what are those guys doing? They're following us with guns." And Reed looked at me, and he said, "Oh, those are our security guards. They've actually been around our lodging area in the village all week long. They're being paid to watch our things and make sure we're safe." So part of your expedition cost is security for the safety of things. Of course, don't be negligent with your belongings in country, but do know that we do have safety measures in place. What is the $1,750 does not include your airfare. We don't really want to be in the business of being travel agents and coordinating flights and everything around the country or the world as we're starting to grow internationally as an organization. So it is $1,750 plus your airfare. And then, as mentioned before, the pre or post expedition travel to be a tourist, see sites in country because you're in some incredible exotic places. And then I know Mexico City has a lot of good tacos, churros, events, things like that. All of that is not included in your expedition cost. I'm going to switch out of the slides right now. I do want to show you and speak to the fundraising toolkit that we have. So hopefully this works. If someone could just say yes if you're able to see the Word document that's up about the personal fundraising toolkit. Is that showing?
Yep.
Okay. Yes. Thank you. So what this is this personal fundraising toolkit is a document that we have a person on the Singular Humanitarian Steering Committee who has put together this template, if you will, of ways that you personally can go out and raise funds. We are a 501c3 status organization, and so anything that's donated for your cost of your expedition by friends or family, or even your cost, can be claimed as a charitable donation. So, share this with your friends and family, especially those that are connected to Mexico in some sort of way. I know we've had mission presidents in the past or other missionaries, return missionaries who felt a connection to the country and will help you to, raise the funds to go on the expedition. And these are just some guidelines. I'm not going to run through it because I want to be sensitive of time. But after this call, we'll post this on the Expedition Fundraising Toolkit Google document or Google Drive. You can see there's a CHOICE Humanitarian donation coupon that can be sent in. People can also go to CHOICE Humanitarian's website and click donate and put your name in there, and they can donate through that. They will receive tax letters from CHOICE. This is a fun little thing to get your creative juices flowing. These are all successful fundraising events or activities that our past expeditioners have done. So if you need some ideas of how to raise some money or have a good time, at least spreading the word of what you're going to be doing this Christmas to New Year's, those are some ideas. One other thing that's at the third page of this document is a template, a letter that you can send out to friends and family. It talks about our organization. At this point, you can say 40 to 50, but I think we even got approval for almost 60 people to be able to come on this expedition because there's such a desire of others to come into Mexico and join us for our very first expedition there. So here's a template of something that you can send out and be able to receive some financial support from those that you know and that are connected to Mexico. And again, that will be posted and sent out to you after this call. Okay. So I'm going to turn the time back to Alicia, and she'll talk about where in Mexico we're going.
Okay, great. So on this slide, you can see that we're in central Mexico to a place called Querétaro, and that's where you will fly into, and then we will be spending our time in Acambay. So just a little map to kind of show you where we will be. I looked up the weather that time of year, and the lows will be in the 40s and the highs in the 70s. So it seems like it'll be pretty pleasurable for working environment and a beautiful place. If you want to go to the next slide, we'll talk a little bit about expectations for these expeditions in general. Because this is our first time to Mexico, we don't have a lot of expectations already about what it will be like, although we'll go over a lot of the details with CHOICE and with the in-country director, Juan there. Just making sure that it is just like the rest of our expeditions, which do vary to some degree. But we want you to be able to have this kind of experience that is like nearly living like the locals live. Of course, we want you to be safe and healthy and everything else, but the accommodations are somewhat primitive in that you are camping and staying in the villages in usually kind of larger areas and several people sleeping in the same area there. And then they will take care of all the food and everything else, and you will have showers, but they may be a bucket shower or a cold shower. And sometimes if you're lucky and you go to the newest places that they've made, you'll sleep on a cot and on a mattress and have a warm shower. So that is definitely not the expectation that we want to set you up with for any expedition, but these pictures kind of do display what it could look like while you are there. So of course you'll have safe drinking water and those types of things. You'll be well fed and taken care of on your trip, but we do want you to have that more primitive type of experience, and also to have these kind of gathering places where you will be able to mingle and have a good time and also be close to the villagers. It's really important in providing the type of experience that does foster that cultural exchange among participants, you guys, as well as with the locals. So yeah, I think that's all we need to say about that one. Okay, it's all you, Jenny.
Okay, so kind of what Alicia was talking about, when we talk about being in proximity with the village and living like they do, it does create a truly dynamic experience. Just looking at the images that are on the screen right now, you'll see anything from, playing to There's one picture right in the middle where it looks like everyone has gone swimming. The truth is, on that expedition, there was some trouble with getting water into the village. And so as soon as the thunder rainstorms came, everyone grabbed their bars of soap, and that was their group shower together. So you do get this sense of community, this sense of memories, and a lot of other things. We do try to offer time for you to have reflection and moments where you can really enlighten your perspective of what it means to be on this expedition, of what it means to walk in the shoes of the people that you're serving. And through that, you will see experiences like this one where the expeditioners are in hats with flowers. Those were actually some welcoming gifts that we received from the village. They were so excited to have us there. We had returned to this village before. It actually was the very first village we ever went to as an organization, and to return back, they were so grateful to see us once again, and it really does make a lasting impact. You'll make friends that when you're on a bus for, however many hours you're on a bus for, and you don't have your cell phones, any movie devices, and you really just sit down and talk with one another, you will gain leadership experiences, you will gain internal perspective, you'll laugh a lot, and it's going to be a wonderful experience for everyone. On top of that, it's also going to be a spiritual journey. This quote is one of our favorites as an organization. It says, "A man filled with the love of God is not content with blessing his family alone, but ranges through the whole world, anxious to bless the whole human race." And that was by Joseph Smith. And this experience is one that I do want to mention that it is eternal. The service that you provide and the experiences that are had will be ones that will last forever, and you'll reflect back on it quite frequently in your life. I know it definitely reached into my soul and enhanced it in a way that I wasn't expecting, and the friendships that have come. I think there was one night I was in a group of friends, and people kept coming up and saying hi, and whenever somebody would ask, well, how do you know these people? The answer was always through Singular Humanitarian. And because of the experience that we have, our spirits have the ability to connect in ways that we might not have known previously. So with that, that's the overview. The next steps, we hope you gain some insight into some things that might have been a little bit confusing or things that you just weren't sure about. But we do want to open this time up for questions, comments, any thoughts you might have as it relates to going to Mexico on December 26th.
One other thing before we jump into questions, wanted to encourage you guys to tell your friends to register for Mexico. Although we have a pretty good solid roster right now, there's always opportunities to move from the wait list to actually go on this expedition. There's a lot of fluctuation with things, so make sure to tell your friends, and then also to join or RSVP on the official Facebook page for Mexico. And the toolkit that Jenny went over, it's also listed on Singular Humanitarian's page, so if you want to access it there, it's kind of a quick and easy place. But we can send an invite, we will send invites out to people, but just make sure that you're connected with us. And I think that's it. I think that's all I wanted to add.
I just wanted to pull up too. You can see I have the Facebook. This picture, the Mexico for New Year's 2015 She Mexico. This is the official Singular Humanitarian Facebook group. If you've been confused at all by any of the other ones. Thank you, Alicia, for mentioning that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so any questions regarding next steps or I guess officially being part of this expedition or coming with us? If it is kind of a more specific question, we might answer those on our next call, but in general things as you're preparing and planning, we're happy to answer any of those questions that you have.
So this is Brandon. A question that may be one of those that's for a future thing. You mentioned the economic development and doing some workshops and whatnot for that. If we're interested in helping develop some of that material, how do we go about that? Who do we talk to? How do we move forward there?
No, that's great. We'll reach out to you about that, but you said this is Brandon?
Yep.
Okay. Put a little star by you, so we'll make sure to get in contact with you. But yeah, usually we ask people to come forward if they have experience in those areas, so thank you for doing that already. Well, we're happy to have you get involved.
Yeah, and just from a process standpoint, as we start to get more information from CHOICE Humanitarian and Juan, the in-country director, and we firm up and start to see, you know, everyone who's coming on the expedition and the breadth and depth of skills that take place, the expedition team will reach out to the expeditioners, formulate workshop teams. One of the things to keep in mind is we ask that you'll get involved pre-expedition as much as you can up front, and then that way when we arrive in the village, 9 times out of 10 something's going to change, but that preparation that we've done will only make it so that we're more adaptable to the changing and the needs of the villagers. So great question, because it does set the tone and the feeling for getting involved and just really being a part of it from even before you get on that plane and head towards the country. So thanks for that. So any other questions?
Does it matter what time we fly out on Sunday?
All right, I think I heard 2 different things.
Does it matter what time we fly out on Sunday?
I don't believe, Alicia, maybe you might know the answer. I should probably not.
Yeah, let me look at the schedule here. Okay, so Saturday we'll be wrapping everything up, so it doesn't matter when you leave on Sunday. Typically we leave on Monday for expeditions, but this one we're leaving on Sunday. So you can leave pretty much first thing in the morning if you need to.
I don't know if you guys are going to be able to answer this, but do you have like an average flight cost from here down to Mexico?
Where are you located?
Georgia.
Oh, if you would have said somewhere else, I probably would have. No, the Mexico flights to Querétaro I've never looked into, but when it comes to Mexico City, they tend to be about $300. You know, plus or minus $50, $60 depending on the time of year. So it tends to be a little less of an expensive country to fly into, but I'm not quite sure from Georgia what that cost is.
I imagine the cost would be pretty good. Like it'd be pretty cheap because you've got a pretty big airport there.
That's true.
Yeah, I think most tickets probably into there will be less than $1,000. Yeah, the sooner you kind of start watching them and planning on that, you'll be able to find something more affordable than other countries. So, but yeah, get your tickets as soon as you can, just because it will be busier with the holidays. Look at tickets now if you can.
Do you guys, are we going to have any visibility for when other people might be arriving as far as like expedition leaders, that kind of a thing, just so that we are better able to gauge what time exactly we should get in? I mean, I know there's that arrival time that's posted, but...
Right, so the expedition leaders will be there a day before you are, but anytime you arrive, you know, that day, somebody will be there to pick you up at the airport. So that's why it's important to send your itinerary to Joanne. Also on the Facebook page, if you plan on doing pre or post travel, it's good you can communicate with expeditioners there just to see. Likely many of you will come in on similar flights and see some familiar faces, but there will be somebody there to pick you up.
Cool, thank you.
Good questions. Anyone else? Okay, well, we will be following up with you here in the next couple weeks. Make sure to get your paperwork into Joanne and take care of things on that end, and you'll also be hearing from Lauren and the expedition team, also regarding next steps. And yeah, anything else? Anything else, Jenny, that you want to say, or anything else anyone has thought of?
Just that this is going to be so awesome. I mean, not to overuse the word awesome, as I probably have a lot on this call, but you know, as we are seeing the registration forms come in and the questions that have come in that people have asked, and even as you've asked questions tonight, they're really mindful, and I can tell that this expedition is going to be an incredible first expedition to Mexico, and the relationships that will form will be wonderful. And I just want to say thank you for joining. Thank you for your yes. And look forward to hopefully meeting you all someday. So thank you again very much for spending the time tonight. It really means a lot to us.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Let us know if you have any other questions at info@singularhumanitarian.org. Is our email address, or even, you know, just posting something on Facebook. And I think there's, you know, just ways to contact us. So don't hesitate, and we are definitely here for you. So with that, have a great night.
Thanks, guys. Good night.
Night.